So my favorite character of all time is Shockwave. I like the logic. I like how he thinks. It reminds me of Spock off of Star Trek. And my favorite figure is Soundwave. I like the fact that in Generation 1, he turned into a mini tape recorder. And the cassettes had, he had in his chest were also transformers that would change as well. And he would call upon them to perform certain tasks.
Next it says, first, series, movie, and or toy, and why. Okay, so, it's interesting. I take this as, which one do I put first? Which one do I like first? Anybody who knows me knows that I'm an animation accuracy junkie. Things like stickers are wonderful. Things like heavy scratch are great, but I want what I saw when I was 6 on the screen. If I'm watching, if I have something that's Beast Wars, I want what it looked like in 1996. I want the thing I saw on the screen. It's really as simple as that. I have done a ton of customs. Again, anyone who knows me knows I've done a lot of custom work in the effort to make things look more G1. Sometimes you have to do a very little bit, sometimes you have to do a lot. Something very simple, for example, somewhat recently was Earthrise Optimus Prime as of the recording of this video. And his biceps were gray. They're not supposed to be gray, they're red. You know how I know that? Because that's what they were in the cartoon. Now some people go for something like toy accuracy. Neat. If that's what you want to do, go for it. Not me. I want what I had on the screen as a lad. I like the movies, I like the plastic representation, but what's first and foremost always going to have my heart is going to be that animation accuracy.
My favorite series is Generation 1, although after the movie, Seasons 3 and I guess what we call Season 4, the animation, some of the storylines get a little... Well, first off, the quality just gets bad. And it picks up more into Season 3, but like Five Faces of Evil, whatever it's called, that one is always hard for me to watch because it seems very disconjointed. It's very good, but still G1 is my favorite series. My favorite movie is also the G1 movie, the 1986 Transformers, the movie. I was just blown away by it. The death of Optimus Prime was sad, but it didn't negatively impact my like for Rodimus Prime. Now, my favorite toy right now, it's probably is Earthrise Skylinks. I wanted Skylinks when I was a kid. We never really had that type of money. I had a friend who had Skylinks, actually pretty much anything he had. Like, how do I explain this? I think his dad liked Transformers because he bought his son every Transformer. Like, I never went to the store and saw something this guy did not have. And I just like the thought that Skylinks was 2 Transformers in one, but he was also a spaceship. Yeah, so I was like really, because I mean it's 1984, 1985, 1986. It's just a spaceship. This was the time where NASA was really in our face. I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
My favorite Transformer series, well, the G1 series. I mean, there's been some really good ones in between there. I've always liked Beast Wars, but I'm recently finding a brand new love for it. By the time Beast Wars came out, I was pretty much in the working world around that time. But yeah, the G1 animated series by far is where the love started, and everything that I do in some way or another is connected to that collection-wise, at least for Transformers collection.
Of course, my favorite series would have to be probably this one. Again, just one of many iterations and different iterations or versions of this series have been put out there, but this is Super God Master Force, and it is one of my favorite series. Victory would probably be right there alongside it. I love them both equally. I can watch Victory all day, or I can watch Super God Master Force all day, and I love either one of them. It's just something I love to do. And next I'm supposed to talk about my favorite toy. Well, my favorite toy is sitting right there. This is my favorite, all-time favorite iteration of Convoy. This is Super Fire Convoy. U.S. audiences would know him as Optimus Prime from the 2000 Car Robots anime or cartoon. Although this one is the Japanese edition, you can tell because it doesn't have the Autobot logos there on the shoulders. Now, of course, some people can just put them on and remove their ones from their American edition, but this also has lights and sounds that the American version does not. I don't have any batteries in it right now, but this is probably my favorite toy ever. I love this toy. It is my favorite toy. I can even with the modern technology that they have today, that we've had, this toy still is on par then to what we've had now in most toys. I mean, he had the articulation, he has the molded details, he has the colors, he has the shelf presence to stand the test of time. It's just, I love this toy. I love it. It is, and it was so well done, so well made. Even today, nothing. I've never felt that anything was gonna break. I've never felt that anything was, badly toleranced. It still is just a fantastic toy. I love. I mean, look at the eyes, gold chrome for eyes. I mean, they don't do that anymore. Hasbro doesn't, and Takara doesn't do that anymore. I mean, look at that. That is just amazing. It's just all the colors and the details, metallic blues, got reds on there. It's amazing, and I love it. So that's my favorite toy. We'll set him over there for now. He can hang out and watch me do the rest of this.
My favorite Transformers toy is the 2004 MP01 Optimus Prime. This toy has a special meaning for me because my wife bought this figure for me while I was deployed to Iraq. And as you can tell by the flag and everything he's holding, this was also the mascot and inspiration for my channel, Patriot Prime Reviews.
My favorite Transformers series, I guess, be G1, just out of nostalgia. G1 cartoon, just out of nostalgia. But I enjoyed other things as well. IDW did some interesting things in the comics. I enjoyed Beast Wars and stuff like that. My favorite toy of all time, though, would have to be G1 Soundwave. You know, everything based off of him, my channel name, my shirt I'm wearing. And this isn't the original G1. My original G1 Soundwave is a junker. He's missing the tape door, he's broken, and he's squeaky, he needs some WD-40, he needs a lot of lube. He's a squeaky little guy. So I have this as my stand-in because my G1 doesn't even stand up, he's just so loose it just falls over. So I got this one, and I try to collect any reissues of a G1 Soundwave that I can. So I have a whole bunch of this. I just fell in love with this character, and the voice in the cartoon was cool. It was awesome. He had all his little minions, his cassettes, and that was cool. Gave you a lot of playability as a kid, and you even gonna clip him onto your pants and walk around with him like he's a real tape deck and stuff. So his playability and imagination, things you could do with this character, that's what got me hooked. I believe that and the voice. I say the voice, right?
My favorite Transformers series, it's kind of a split between Beast Wars and Transformers Prime. The reason for that being the kind of number one hallmark I look for with a TV show, and that includes Transformer shows, is just the quality of writing. And I really feel that both of those two shows were extremely well written. They were both very cutting edge CGI for their time. Obviously, they haven't aged as gracefully as I wish they did. But I remember being so fascinated by the characters and this deep world that would be built up around them. And I loved how they could draw and create these characters that were more than just a toy on a shelf, right? They had their own motivations. They weren't one-dimensional in their characterization. So, yeah, I think those are going to be my tie right there. Beast Wars, Transformers Prime. My favorite movie, I would say, if we're not counting the animated film, it would probably be Bumblebee. Because I think that was just the truest to form Transformers film that they had made in a live action format. Especially when they went and added in that whole, War for Cybertron-esque scene at the beginning. I felt that really just cemented it as a quality Transformers film. Even though I feel Bumblebee is pretty overhyped at this point, it was still just a real treat watching him have this very human interaction with the character Charlie. So I'll go ahead and say Bumblebee. Now, my favorite toy, I get asked this from time to time, and it's probably the hardest question to answer because there are just so many to choose from, just including the ones that I own. I got a lot. But currently, I would say my favorite is going to be this big old monstrosity here, the new Earthrise Scorponok. I just feel, he does so much right. I love the sculpted detail on this guy. The paint job is fantastic. He's not perfect. He's lacking some things, some features from the original toy that I wish were still there. And it does seem that at some point in the planning stages, or at least the concept stages, he was going to have those features. So I do feel a little robbed. He could be better, but for what he is, right now I'm in love with him. I love walking into my collection room and he's like, boom, right there on a top shelf, staring me down, and just looks fantastic. So as of recording this, favorite toy is Scorponok.
Now, as far as what is my favorite Transformers series, even though, I said a moment ago, I was introduced to the Transformers franchise with Transformers Armada, and the first ever Transformers action figure that I ever owned was Generation 2 Hero Optimus Prime, which was released in 1994. My all-time favorite Transformers series has become the original Transformers Generation 1 series. After I watched the Transformers the movie, after I got the DVD and watched it in 2006, I tried to look online to see if I could find a website in which I could watch episodes of the Generation 1 series, because where I live in California, DVDs of the seasons of Transformers Generation 1 were expensive and hard to come by. But thankfully, the following year in 2007, the first live-action Transformers movie was released, and at the time when the first live-action movie was released in 2007, that was when YouTube really started to take off. And at the time in 2007, I don't know if anyone else is aware of this, but back in 2007, some YouTube channels still had the freedom, quote-unquote freedom, to upload episodes of the Transformers Generation 1 cartoon series, and so the place where I watched regular episodes of the original Transformers Generation 1 cartoon series was in fact on YouTube. It took me 3.5 months to watch all 98 episodes of the Transformers Generation 1 series, and in between seasons 2 and 3, I pulled out my 20th anniversary Transformers G1 movie DVD to see the film in between the second and third seasons. And even though it took me 3.5 months versus 3 whole years for the release of all 98 episodes back when they first came out in the 1980s, watching Transformers Generation 1 just one time, it was enough to convince me that Transformers Generation 1 remains the all-time greatest Transformers cartoon series to ever be released. At least as far as top 3 greatest Transformers cartoon series, my second favorite has become Transformers Beast Wars, and the third one, I'd say it would have to be a tie between Transformers Cyberverse and Transformers Cybertron. Transformers Cybertron was the first Transformers CGI cartoon series that featured Optimus Prime as a regular series cast member, rather than Optimus Primal. And Transformers Cybertron has become my favorite of the 3 Transformers cartoon series that make up the Unicron trilogy, Armada being the first and Energon being the second. A lot of Transformers fans say Animated and Prime are in their top 3 or top 5 Transformers cartoon series. Even though Transformers Cyberverse, the most recent Transformers cartoon series, started off somewhat slowly, unlike Prime and Animated, which didn't really feature too many characters and focused more on storytelling similar to Beast Wars, Cyberverse managed to do what Prime and Animated and even other Transformers cartoon series did, and it not only told a compelling story, but it managed to do it with a large cast of Transformers characters. And that's something that most Transformers cartoon shows, when they try to tell successful stories while at the same time having large numbers of Transformers characters, they sometimes don't always come out successful, so I praise the Transformers Cyberverse cartoon series for doing that, but that's just my opinion. I know there's a lot of Transformers fans who will make counter-arguments that Transformers Prime, Transformers Animated, Robots in Disguise 2001, and other Transformers cartoon shows have told more compelling stories than Cyberverse, but again, that's just my opinion. My favorite movie of the Transformers movies that have been released remains the first movie I ever saw, which is the Transformers Generation 1 movie. Even though this movie does the tragic moment, has the tragic moment, is the grammar I was looking for, of Optimus Prime not only dying but staying dead until the end of the film. The way the storytelling is done, and the way the Transformers characters interact with each other, and just overall the entire plot of the movie, even though Optimus Prime dying on screen essentially doomed the movie to failure when it was released in 1986, it still tells a far more entertaining story and compelling story than any of the live-action Transformers movies that have been released. Even more so than the Bumblebee movie, in my opinion. The Transformers Generation 1 movie still holds the title of being the best Transformers movie to ever be released. Now, as far as what my all-time favorite Transformers toy would have to be, my favorite action figure, it would have to be this one up here that, depending on how the angle of my camera is positioned, you might sometimes see it in the background of some of my Transformers videos, but my all-time favorite Transformers action figure has become this right here. This is the Takara Tomy exclusive Transformers Legends LGEX God Jinrai action figure. This action figure is the combination of the two Autobot characters of Super Jinrai and God Bomber, known as the Apex Armor here in the United States. Now, this action figure has an interesting history due to the fact that the original Transformers Generation 1 version of this action figure was given two completely different identities by Hasbro and Takara Tomy when it was released back in 1988. Hasbro decided to treat this action figure as an upgraded version of Optimus Prime, and Takara Tomy decided to make the action figure an entirely different Transformers character who merely looked like Optimus Prime rather than be an upgraded version of Optimus Prime himself. And the new character name given to this, the Japanese version of this action figure was God Jinrai, an Autobot commander who, instead of being an upgraded version of Optimus Prime, he basically became a look-alike cosplaying as Optimus Prime. Now, despite whatever flaws the action figure has and the different identities given to it by Hasbro and Takara Tomy, for me personally, I mashed up both identities together. I treat the Super Jinrai half of this action figure as Power Master Optimus Prime, and when he combines with God Bomber, I call the final combined form right here God Jinrai and Inrai. So I just mashed up both Hasbro and Takara Tomy's different identities for this action figure. And even though this version of Optimus Prime in the Transformers cartoon series, even though it's only appeared actually in the Japanese exclusive series Transformers Super God Master Force, it's been referenced in a handful of other Transformers series. So, as far as I'm aware of, and as far as I personally am concerned, this remains the most powerful form Optimus Prime has ever taken. And because of that, that has become my all-time favorite Transformers action figure to ever have. Even though there were other Transformers action figures since I've been collecting nonstop since 2003, and the Takara Tomy exclusive Transformers Super Jinrai action figure was released in 2017. In the years since I added that Transformers action figure to my Transformers collection, I haven't had a Transformers action figure that I've had as much love and appreciation for as I have that. And the Takara Tomy exclusive Transformers God Jinrai action figure has become my all-time favorite Transformers action figure.
Thank you for checking out our content. Before you leave, please remember to click like and then subscribe. If you want to receive notifications, do not forget to enable them by clicking on the bell. Then afterwards, check out our social media and our website.